Awesome. Happy hump day. We're excited to chat here with you to talk about Lightning privacy and to hear what's new. But what's up, man? What's been good today? How's the week treating you?
It's been good. Here in Austin, it's gonna be kind of an action-packed week. We got Lightning developers meet up tonight, and then tomorrow night Bitcoin bit devs. So it's gonna be a good week. But yeah, it's been good so far. How about you?
Very good. No complaints. No complaints. A lot of good things developing. It's the merge week, so it's just entertaining to say the least.
Oh yeah,
Um, but we're out here building the Lightning Network, making some good things happen, and obviously this is about privacy. Um, I know you and also Paul on our team. He's been making some strides and efforts to help with Lightning privacy, and I guess to kick this off, I feel like this is kind of, well, a lot of technical people might really understand how Lightning is lacking in privacy and maybe what it has currently, just in terms of privacy versus on chain. Maybe you could give us like a bird's eye view of Lightning's current privacy and just why this is a passion of yours, why you're working on it.
yeah. I like. It's funny. I like to say Lightning is private, except that it uses Bitcoin. Um, which is Bitcoin is great, but it also has its flaws. And Sounds like on Bitcoin you have these like very obvious like this UTXO has this amount of Bitcoin in it kind of things. Everyone can trace it and see. Um, you don't have the best privacy on chain, and Lightning kind of fixes a lot of these problems where instead of like having a permanent record of every single transaction that every person in the world downloads, and Lightning only like it's like a need to know kind of basis where I only know my transactions and you only know your transactions. The only reason I would ever know about one of your transactions is if you told me or if I was a part of it, and that increases privacy a whole lot because it's not this like global consensus system. It's this local negotiation between different nodes and stuff, and that improves it a lot. But Lightning is still tied to Bitcoin, so we still have parts of this where we do lose privacy. So, if you have a large node, you can just go and kind of go on amboss.space and look at a node and see like, oh wow, this node has 10 Bitcoin of channels, and then that's like if you have your node tied to your name, then people can be like, oh, this guy has probably around that much Bitcoin, and that's a little that can be scary. So there are like personal best practices you can do, but there are also just like fundamental limitations around Lightning that both need to be fixed. Um, so like there are some ways where like I mean for one, just not tying your name to your node or just identity at all helps a lot. But there are things like using private channels and stuff so you don't announce every channel you have to like help hide how much Bitcoin is on your node and stuff. But as well, like there are other problems where um, if you want to get into like the nitty gritty of like when I make a payment to you, I have to, or when you want to make a payment to me, I have to tell you my node ID. So then you can like see which node you're paying to, and then it kind of reveal that information again. So like if I did everything right, I didn't tie my name to my node, no one knows what node is mine. Then you want to pay me $2 for a sandwich. Now you're gonna go and find my node and see everything about it. So these are like all like kind of the some of the main problems in there, and then there are even like more like nitty gritty things where like you can correlate payments or together, where like a payment across Lightning is it's called onion routed, where basically like if a payment's going from Alice to Bob to Carol, Carol doesn't need to know about Alice, and Bob only has the information that he knows that like there's a payment going from Alice to Bob, and then the next hop is Carol. He doesn't know if Carol's then going to forward on to Dave or and then like Eve, or if Carol's the final hop. So you kind of get some nice privacy there. However, uh, there's some like tying information between all these hops. So like say if the payment was Alice, Bob, Carol, Dave, Bob and Carol could both kind of like correlate together and be like, oh hey, we have the looks like we have the compare information, like look, we have the same payment, and then do some trickery or at least like kind of ruin some privacy there. So there are different proposals like PTLCs to fix things like that as well. Um, that was kind of a rant, but that's probably like all the current like major issues with Lightning privacy. But I mean, by and large though, it's still like if you do a Lightning payment versus an on-chain payment, it's much more private. Receiving on Lightning is a little bit of a different story. It has some better privacy things where like you're not uh, it can just be like a ephemeral thing that not broadcast to everyone. However, if you do have like a large routing node you don't want to reveal to other people, you can hurt your privacy in that regard. But it's still, you know, in some ways much more private than on chain as well.
Yeah. And one of the more popular, I think, use cases right now for Lightning and people that have mobile phones is just downloading a wallet like Wallet of Satoshi, Moon, Blue Wallet, etc. And I know there's privacy differences between what you have on your own node versus, say, using a mobile app wallet through iOS or Android. What things would you share with someone who's downloading a Lightning wallet, making payments, and they just expect it to be private, but it's obviously not as much? Like, what would you share with that person who's new to Lightning, wants privacy, and is just downloading an app to their phone?
Yeah, like it's kind of different things there, where like everything I just talked about, it's like if you're doing the mountain man fantasy as they call it, of like running all your own infrastructure. But yeah, say if you're using something like Blue Wallet or Wallet Satoshi now, that's just a custodial Lightning wallet. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of like custodial privacy in that regard, where it's still that payment is still not broadcast to everyone on the network. It's only only who needs to know. The problem is now you're tying in, say, like Blue Wallet server into who needs to know, so they could go back and see like, oh, this you know iPhone ABC 123 made all these payments, and now they figure out your iPhone ABC 123 and be like, oh, Ben Carman made all these payments and we don't like that, or just now they have that information. So yeah, in those regards, there is a little bit of different privacy trade-offs, but it's no similar than like if you're, it's still like a better trade-off than like if you're using Blue Wallet's on-chain wallet, that's you hold your own keys there, but as well you're just talking to their Electrum server in the back end, so you're also just doxing all your on-chain addresses to them in the same regard, as well as since it's on-chain Bitcoin now, it's being broadcast, everyone that runs a node. So you still have better privacy in that regard, where you're still getting that, like a Lightning payment is still slightly more private, but you're just adding with a custodial thing, you're just like giving up a little more information to one person.
All right, good. Yeah, I think that's kind of an important thing, especially for a lot of just people adopting Bitcoin, wanting to get a wallet, get going, understanding that. So that's good framing. Now, I know there's a group of you guys in Austin. I know you and Paul working on some different things, but what really sparked your interest with Lightning privacy and wanting you to focus on that? And I believe what you're working on is called Vortex. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of came out of a personal need where basically I have this service called OpReturnBot, which lets you pay a Lightning payment and then your on-chain fund, and then or I'll just do an op return with my own on-chain funds. So like I get people who like send a message and I'll op return in like happy birthday mom or something, and it's cool and a lot of people use it. The problem is like now you can spend like $2 and like see my entire on-chain history of my wallet, and that's not very good. So I was like, man, it'd be nice if I could coin join all these funds. But the problem is like if I just like constantly coin joined my like well, like for with like my LND wallet it wouldn't really work because like I'd have to like send it back and forth from like Samurai or Wasabi or Join Market, and I was gonna pay like a buttload of fees. And as well as like, well, it'd be cool. Like, this is my Lightning wallet. What if I could like open Lightning channels and stuff inside of a coin join? And no one had support for this. Like Samurai people don't like Lightning, so and they've already said they have no plans for like Lightning or Taproot. The Wasabi guys would like to, but I mean, Wasabi is Wasabi nowadays with the chain analysis stuff, as well as just it's just a different ecosystem. And then Join Market is kind of hard to work with and not as much volume. Well, there's high volume, but not like for like low consistent volume. So I figured I could just make my own thing. So basically, I started this project Vortex a little over a year ago. It's almost ready. But basically, the idea is like try to be like your one-stop shop for Lightning and on-chain privacy. So like as this is today, likely to be released like within the next month. But right now it has like kind of two modes. One is like open a Lightning channel, where so you could just like you and like five other people in a coin join open a Lightning channel together, and now like everyone like I posted some like testnet ones, but it's nice. These have like five channels all the same amount that are open in the channel. So now when I click on your node on Amboss or one amount and I see like your channel, I can go and look and be like, oh, what's a lot of times you can go look and see like what their on-chain wallet history is. But now with this coin join, you'll have all these inputs in it, and you don't know which whose is whose. So it helps a lot with your privacy there. And then the other mode is like the taproot mode, which is like a exact same thing as like Samurai or Wasabi today, but instead of our normal one, it's just using Taproot addresses. And I think behind this is one, just Taproot's cool, but two is um, eventually we're gonna have Lightning Taproot channels. So then this Taproot coordinator could have people who are just mixing their funds to themselves and like to spend later, and then also be mixed in there with Lightning channels. So you have like a coin join that's supporting multiple things. So you have like you could have like 10 people opening channels, 10 people setting to themselves, maybe 10 people opening a DLC, another 10 people sending to their multi-sig. Like there could be anything going on in there. So I think that's like kind of the end goal is like have this just be like your one-stop shop for Taproot stuff, because Taproot's going to let us do a lot of things, and since it's a new project, it'll let me move a lot quicker than these other guys. And I don't know, that's kind of like my pitch on it. It's I don't know, I'm working on it right now, but it's very close to being ready. And we've done some testnet ones. It's just getting it polished up and ready for mainnet is last step. But yeah.
Good deal. So you built it really like for a specific problem you had, but it actually has a broad use case in like multiple different ways where it could be applied in a lot of different instances. So it really brings value to much more than just your personal need. It sounds like.
Yeah, because like I mean, with coin joins or anything privacy, like if you're the only one using it, it's not private because it's like, oh, that's Ben, like he's the only user of that. But so you need lots of users. So I couldn't just build it for myself. I need to like build it for the most possible users to get the best privacy. And I think this will eventually be that where if everyone that's using Taproot is using this, it'll really help a lot of people, and including myself, thankfully. But yeah.
Nice. Now, I know a big kind of complaint we've heard over the years is just Bitcoin's not private, but when it comes to addressing those problems, what type of hurdles does this help overcome beyond simple privacy for an individual? Like, does that have any second or third order effects just in terms of what it provides businesses or anything maybe that people are not forecasting? Like, do you have maybe a way to express that, or is that a good question?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like yeah, this definitely helps the individual, but like if I am coin joining now, my funds are more private, but in a broader sense, like if we were making coin joins more commonplace and like if coin joins are like the standard versus not coin joining, that'll one just increase like everyone's privacy. So now not only do I have better privacy, but everyone else does. So that grows my anonymity set. So first you thought I was one of 100 users, but now you think I'm one of like a million. So it's a lot harder to find me. But as well, it breaks a lot of heuristics that these surveillance companies try to use, like chain analysis, or like they'll like they have like these like rules and like that like 98% of transactions are fall into these rules, so they can make good assumptions on people's transactions. Like they'll see something and be like, oh, that's likely this, so then they can guess what your wallet is and stuff like that, or it's kind of they have heuristics that work most of the time, but things like coin joins and Lightning kind of break these. And Lightning's been around for a while too, so they've been adapting these heuristics to work with Lightning now. And even Chainalysis has advertised they have Lightning services now. I don't know what they are, but I assume it's something like just tracking these on-chain transactions that correlate to Lightning channels, and it's saying like, oh, node ID 123 has this wallet balance and stuff like that. And things like coin joining into a Lightning channel would completely break that, and they would no longer be able to do that. And I think that's like an awesome thing, because these chain analysis companies are not your friend. All they are is just trying to, all they do is like hurt individuals. So um, I don't know. I'm excited about that, like making them obsolete.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone listening, feel free to raise your hand if you have questions for Ben. I know quite a few of you might be more technical, so feel free to raise your hand, hop up. You're welcome to. Um, One thing, Ben, too, I think about is when it comes to breaking this for chain analysis and some of these, like folks who do watch on chain. I mean, I'd imagine we'd get to a certain point where it's just a null point to even try to understand chain analysis. Like, is that a possibility in your mind? Like, as this gets adopted, and that's like a long-term possible thing, or are there going to be better tools, or is this kind of like an ultimate privacy step that just needs to be taken, and that problem has been solved?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a possible thing. I mean, I think it's theoretically, if you took out like all exchanges and like everyone that's like where these chain analysis companies really get their like bread and butter is just like they talk to Coinbase, they talk to Kraken, they talk to every exchange under the sun, and they all have quote unquote anonymized user data. And then they're able to tie like a deposit from this place to this place, and they can track most of the funds just through just having like people like directly telling them who the users are. But when we remove that link, say like post hyper Bitcoinization, where no longer people are buying Bitcoin like with their ID, they're just earning it anonymously, then that could solve a lot of the problem. But if it doesn't, and we don't know it will, then like things like coin joining and other privacy, like or just using Lightning in general, would um, break a lot of this stuff, because now uh, these chain analysis things eventually, like we don't want them to last forever. So if we can break their heuristics and just kind of use things that thwart what they're trying to do, event like if today say like 98% of transactions follow their heuristics, they're able to make reasonable assumptions. If it got down to like 60%, maybe then it just like breaks everywhere, because now you can't actually get a statistical like standard deviation good enough to like make anything assumptions about transactions and track people. So um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There is probably no like the like definite like this, like once we reach this, it'll break all chain analysis. But it's a gradual thing, and I think like every day we do get closer. So um, yeah, I don't know.
Cool. And you said earlier when you were talking about working on it, you said we. Who all is helping you on this, and like, what is the maybe the team or who's contributing? If you were able to share.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something I've been doing in my free time for the last like year, and then My friend D-Regs, he also works at the Bitcoin company, and he's been building the front end, which is kind of the last hurdle we need to get over. So that's like the like actual like coin join logic stuff has been built out, and it's just like kind of I'm just like cleaning it up and like deploying it and stuff. But the actual like front end, the GUI that you click on and stuff is the last step to do, and that's almost done. But yeah, shout out D-Regs. He's
Nice.
great.
Very good. Very good. All right, we'll let Oflo ask a question here. I'll let him up. He raised his hand there. What's up, sir? Welcome. Feel free to ask your question.
Hey Ben, long time. How's everything on your side?
It's been good.
Um,
Yeah, long time.
yeah. My question for you is this: how would you do privacy with Lightning Network if you didn't have a Lightning node?
Um, I mean, if you don't have a node, like it's almost a mute point. It's just like picking the best custodial node then, so or if it's best custodial wallet. Um, so yeah, I mean, like then you're just like, who do you trust the most? Like, do you trust Blue Wallet over Wallet Satoshi, or maybe something like Moon, which is a little better, but it's still kind of weird. I mean, yeah, I mean, like usually you're just giving up your privacy to someone else and you're just trusting them. So you're just kind of picking who do you trust the most at that point.
Even in the case of something like Breeze, for example, or Phoenix, or the other non-custodial Lightning wallets.
Well, those you do have a node. There's just a node running on your phone. But yeah, Phoenix is pretty good because they've been the Eclair team and them have been implementing things like blinded paths, which do help Lightning privacy a lot. But what that lets you do is like basically like kind of what I was talking about earlier, where if you want to pay me $5 for a sandwich, I need to tell you my node ID, and then you can take that node ID and look it up online and like see like, oh, Ben's Lightning node has like 1,000 Bitcoin on it. I'm gonna go hit him with a $5 wrench. Instead with blinded pass, you kind of hide what your node ID is, and instead give them like this encrypted like way to reach me, and then it'll go through these hops to try to get to you, and so the sender doesn't actually know your node ID. They just know like send it to this node, and they'll figure out how to get it to me um, through this encrypted stuff, and that increases the privacy a lot. So that's something that the Phoenix team has been working on, or Eclair team who built Phoenix, and that I don't know if that's deployed yet, but it's very close to be if it is. Breeze is also very good. Theirs is something I commend them for is they do like neutrino filters for the on-chain balance. So basically, like if you're using something like Blue Wallet, the way you like you have all these addresses, but how do you know if they have Bitcoin in them or not? The way like something like Blue Wallet works is they just like make a request to the Blue Wallet server and be like, how much Bitcoin do I have? And it'll say like, oh, you have 2 Bitcoin. Versus what Blue Wallet does is syncs these like they're called complex filters. Basically, it's just kind of telling you which addresses are in which block. So then you'll kind of just download all that and be like, okay, I need to download blocks 100, 200, and 301, and then you can then calculate your balance based off that. So it gives you a lot better privacy when syncing your to see like what your actual wallet balance is, because you're not telling them your direct addresses. All you're really doxing is which um, blocks or which blocks you had transactions in. So it's a lot harder to correlate.
So essentially, you're saying that mobile nodes are good for basically for privacy, or they're sufficient for privacy.
I mean, it depends on your threat model. Like, who are you hiding from, and like, what is what is acceptable for you? If you accept that you'll trust Blue Wallet with your transactions, then use Blue Wallet. It's got good UX, and if you trust them with, not going to rug pull you. If you want to take a different approach and use something like Breeze or Phoenix, it's a one step slightly better of privacy and security, but it's slightly worse UX. But and then if you want like the coup de grace of like the mountain man, like I'm gonna run my own node and everything, then actually run your own node, and you can hook it up to like something like Zeus, and it's all just like trade offs and what you're willing to take. I think personally, I run my own node, but I know my mom is not going to do that, and so maybe she'll use something like Blue Wallet, but a more sophisticated user like you might just use like Phoenix because that's a better trade off.
Makes sense. Makes sense. In terms of the benefits of privacy of RGB and Lightning, what do you think about that?
I mean, I don't really know much about RGB. I mean, from my understanding, is Taro's going to obsolete it, but I don't know. I mean, it still falls like on Taro or RGB on Lightning. I think they both still have the same like the exact same privacy stuff as actual like sending Bitcoin on Lightning. So there's no real like benefit or anything or like loss of privacy. It's really just like you're sending a different asset, which is at least that's my understanding.
Yeah, Tara's not going to obsolete RGB. Just have to throw that out there. RGB is a smart contract platform basically on Bitcoin and Lightning. And Tara, at least from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is just a tokenization platform.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about either, to be honest, but I don't know. But yeah.
Right on. Well, Ben, like, what's the biggest thing that you would share, maybe that we haven't discussed in terms of privacy that you think is underestimated by the average user? Like, why should they care about their privacy beyond simply, people, the data industry? People selling data is worth something like 300 billion. I forget the exact number, but it's a tremendous amount of capital. Like, why does privacy matter beyond our data being sold?
I I I think like the biggest thing, especially as a Bitcoiner, is just for your safety and like security. There's been like all these times like you can't trust these other parties with your data. Like something like the Equifax happened a few years ago here in America, where one of the largest tax agencies just like leaked like tons of data about millions of Americans, and like now you could just like kind of Google them and be like, oh, okay, this guy is rich, or this guy is worth breaking into and trying to steal from. Like as a Bitcoiner, that can be terrifying. Where if someone hits you in the head with and tries to take money out of your bank account, a lot of times you can claw that back, or there's limits and all this stuff. With Bitcoin, once that transaction is confirmed, it's not coming back. So if they're able to like come and threaten you, like you either you better have a gun, or you're gonna lose some Bitcoin that day, and you're not getting it back. So I think like being able to hide um, is paramount for like a Bitcoiner security, especially the more Bitcoin you have, the more conscious you need to be. And like if it's very easy to like screw up, where say you had like you bought one Bitcoin off Coinbase, and then sent it to your cold storage, and then you went and bought a sandwich, a $5 sandwich with that one Bitcoin, and then not 0.9999 stayed with you. You just like there are now like so many people that could attack you through that. There's for one, Coinbase now has all this data that you bought one Bitcoin. So if they get hacked, or if they have a disgruntled employee or something, now they can come and be like, oh, Ben Carman has one Bitcoin, I'm gonna go fuck with him. If that sandwich shop owner looks at that transaction, they can see, oh, this person just sent with a one Bitcoin output. They probably have a lot of Bitcoin. They can go and follow me home, or where the hell, and try to fuck with you. And or if someone was like tracking that, broke into that, maybe you trust the sandwich shop owner, but if someone just breaks into their data center, or however they're doing transactions, and sees like, oh, they received Bitcoin from this guy, and you can correlate to something that ties to you. Now they can be like, oh, that guy has a lot of Bitcoin, and discern and try to fuck with you that way. So like it's very paramount, I think, for Bitcoin security to like take care of their privacy, because or at least or own a bunch of guns is your only alternative, I think. But why not both? Uh, but not even on security as well. It's just like it's also just like, why the fuck should you know? Like you don't, people don't just like tweet out your net worth or your yearly salary. It's just like you don't want to share the information. Why? Especially with your Bitcoin, you don't want to just tweet out like I own 6.15 Bitcoin. You should keep that personal and only tell your wife or something. You don't need to tell everyone how much Bitcoin you own, and you kind of accidentally do that sometimes when you make Bitcoin transactions. So it's something you should be careful about, because it's just like I don't want people to know how much Bitcoin I have, and you probably shouldn't either.
Yeah, and I know one thing that's great when it comes to Taproot is I know it is going to offer some privacy in terms of, are you sending to a standard Bitcoin address or a multi-sig address? Now, if this privacy tool that you're building, if it's once it's on main chain, that makes it very simple for anyone. Like, let's say Unchained, I know they might not do it because they have some compliance stuff I know they have to do, but someone like Unchained or Casa, they could implement that pretty easily. So anyone using multi-sig, they could have CoinJoin built in, which is just kind of a decision each institution or business needs to make on their own accord, correct?
Yeah. So like what Taproot kind of lets you hide like what that like where you're kind of sending it, where previously there's like a normal like user wallet, and then like the fancy like multi-sig or lightning channel has these like a different kind of address, so they're two separate things. Now under Taproot they're a unified address type, so you can like kind of fit all these use cases under one thing. So you can then now like share the same anonymity set. So that's kind of something with Vortex I really want to do, where we're having Lightning channel opens and just like self spend coin joins all in the same transaction. So you're like benefiting each other. But yeah, someone like Coinbase or not Coinbase, or I guess they could, but Casa or Unchained, could easily do that. And the cool thing is too is like you know Unchained could be like, oh, they don't need to natively support it. You could just have the user type in their their address, and it'll just do a coin join straight into their cold storage vault. Like Unchained doesn't need to know about it. You're just depositing into that. So it will make things like very easy to do. Like once people have more Taproot adoption, because now just like everything is kind of under the same umbrella of Taproot, and we don't need to like have all these separate address types and worry about where you're sending it. It's just like, oh, now everything is Taproot, and it all looks the same now, so we can just like have it work and hide amongst each other.
Right on. Oh, Flo, I see you raise your hand again, sir. Feel free.
What do you think about solutions like RoboSats for privacy?
Yeah, RoboSats is like kind of on a different layer, where RoboSats is like a way to buy Bitcoin anonymously. So that's like solving like the Coinbase problem, where you do give KYC information to them. It doesn't like like Vortex and coin joins are kind of things to solve like, I have Bitcoin now, what do I do with it, kind of like privacy problem. But RoboSats is great. It lets you like buy Bitcoin KYC free. So that kind of solves the the onboarding problem of like I have dollars and I want Bitcoin, but I want to give you my social security number. So yeah, that would it does help a lot there.
So essentially, you would use something like that to you'd get your Bitcoin and then you throw it into a Vortex and get your Bitcoin out on the other side. That's how you would use it, more or less.
Yeah. I mean, like I would say like any of your Bitcoin, you should be coin joining, but you know, when you are, and then secondary to that, any Bitcoin you get, ideally you should get KYC free. So they're two separate statements, but yeah, they work when you do them together. It's much more powerful.
Now, what's your perspective on liquid privacy as a confidential layer for doing Bitcoin transactions?
I mean, I think Liquid's cool. It's they have confidential transactions, so you hide which asset you're sending and the amount. And then if you do it in a coin join, you basically have like, a completely confidential transaction. The problem is no one uses Liquid, so you would be like if you and five people are doing coin joins on there, you're also like the only five Liquid users, so they know who you are because you have to like, you know, deposit and withdraw from Liquid. Um, but I think like if it did have adoption, it would be um, very powerful. I do think things like Fedimints are kind of just like the better version of Liquid, though. So I'm much more bullish on those than Liquid for privacy as well as as
Could you explain the fundamental difference? Because I was in the space with D and we're talking about that. What's the fundamental difference between Liquid and Fedimints? I understand the federation thing, but can you, and the fact that one's a blockchain and the other isn't, but can you go into a fundamental difference in terms of how the multi-sig would work in a Fedimint compared to a Liquid sidechain, for example?
I mean, the main difference is like Liquid is a blockchain and Fedimint is not. I don't know, like the multi-sig I think works pretty much the same. I know like the Fedimint deposit mechanism on chain is uses some like fancy cryptography stuff, but otherwise it's pretty similar. But it's just like a 11 of 15 multi-sig wherever the federation decides. I think the beauty of like Fedimint is like you can it's as well it's interoperable with Lightning, so you can send and receive on Lightning through a Fedimint, and so you could like use it to like bounce payments through a Fedimint to like kind of anonymize it and stuff like that, or deposit on Fedimint and then make a Lightning payment, or do the inverse to you know kind of like hide like move some coins around anonymously, and it could be like a separate thing to coin joining as well, kind of like a coin swap. But yeah.
Interesting. So, do you think that roast would work with a Fedimint?
Yeah, I think they have plans to use that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, nice. If there's any other questions, I mean, feel free to raise your hand, guys. But wrapping up here, Ben, is there anything new you'd like to share? Any updates or anything else we haven't discussed that's worth mentioning before we hop off for the day?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it should be releasing soon. I've been saying it's going to release soon for a while, but I actually mean at this time. It's like imminently close. But yeah, I want to have it out by TabConf. So if you see me there and it's not released, punch me in the face. But yeah, I don't know. Coin like in the meantime, you should still be coin joining. Don't wait for this. Coin join your funds because it's important for your on-chain privacy.
Awesome. Well, good deal. Yeah, the team's looking forward to seeing you at a Tab conference, and we'll be one of the main stage sponsors there. It's definitely the probably most high signal conference of the year when it comes to the development and the building happening in Bitcoin. So we look forward to seeing everyone. And Ben, man, we appreciate your time. Thanks for taking a beat with us and spending some time today.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.